This morning with one of my sons at a lacrosse clinic. And as I'm watching him start to warm up with the coaches and they're taking the balls and they're throwing it back and forth to each other, I'm suddenly, as if almost hit by a lightning bolt, brought back to when I was 10 years old playing baseball. And I'm thinking about catching, warming up, and how while lacrosse and that baseball aren't really similar, that's one of the few things where they are. And as I'm sitting there watching him thinking about that, a fear that I used to have in my head comes back to me. And it's a fear that I would drop the ball. It's a fear that, specifically, the one that really was big for me was pop flies. I was very scared of pop flies despite playing outfield a lot. And I was always afraid that the ball would either go over me or go under me or would go to the right or I would miss it or I would screw something up and I would let the team down. And it's a fear that I had for years. It got so bad, I remember thinking a lot, oh God, I hope they don't hit to me. Please don't hit to me. Please don't hit to me. Please don't hit to me. And that is something that I used to think. I didn't used to tell anyone this. It's just something that used to be in my mind that I would hope it wouldn't do. And then if the ball did come to me, I would either be so nervous that I would end up screwing up, or if I didn't screw up and it just worked out, I would actually get frustrated at myself because maybe I should have done it better. And clearly that was not the right approach. But it was something that always bothered me. It wasn't until I started to get older that I realized that the more I worked at certain things, the more I practiced certain things, the better I would get at them. And I know there's the old adage, practice makes perfect, but it's something that never really sat that well with me, because some things I would practice constantly and I would never really get that great at. And some things I really wouldn't put much work into, but yet I would have great results. And that always kind of used to bother me because I could never figure out why. And it wasn't until much later on that I watched a documentary, maybe it was a YouTube video, I don't even know, where the coach is talking to his team and he says, practice doesn't make perfect. You can practice the wrong techniques a million times, and guess what? You're still going to have wrong technique. Perfect practice makes perfect. And you know what? That resonated with me. It's something that I thought about because when it came to when I was doing track and throwing the discus and getting used to just coming out of my hands a certain way, I had practiced it and practiced it and practiced it, and to the point where I just couldn't throw it a different way. Or even now with the practice of law, I used to be so nervous taking depositions. I would have all these sheets, all these questions I was going to ask, and I would get nervous. What happens if I don't ask the right question? What happens if they give a crazy answer? What happens if people think I'm silly? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And you know what I did? I did a lot of depositions. I volunteered to do more. I read books on it. Used to sit in with other people to see how they would handle it. And you know what? Over the years, I got better at it. And I got better at it. I got more comfortable with it to the point where I didn't feel fear anymore. And in fact, actually, I kind of started to enjoy it. Where I sat there and I was like, oh, I'm going to ask these questions. Let's see what happens. Let's see where this goes. And it's when you kind of do that, where you're making that perfect practice, that you can overcome the fear. And as I'm thinking about all this, and I'm sitting at the clinic and I'm watching my son, and I say to myself, I know he's learning a new position. I know he gets frustrated because I'm watching it. And as somebody who has been there before, I know I can help with that. Because what I'm thinking is, what could I do if it was me? And I was thinking, well, maybe I could be that person that could have said what you know now, then, and help the person and say, listen, why don't you just work on fundamentals with me? And I told them, listen, I'm never going to push you. I don't believe in doing that. But I'll match your energy. You want to go outside at 8 o'clock and you want to throw the lacrosse ball for 20 minutes? I'm in. Let's do it. And he's done that before. And now, the advent of YouTube, with books, with courses, with coaches, you have opportunities that never existed even 20 years ago, where you can learn the perfect aspects of practice and you can start to put them into practice. Just like with my son wanting to learn a new position, I've started to watch videos to help him, where we just do a certain thing every single time. We do it 100 times. And guess what? He's getting better at it. He's getting more confident. He's not as nervous. And it makes me proud, because I know in my mind, I probably should have done that. I should have practiced more, but I didn't. I didn't know, and that's okay. But we learn from things. So the point I'm trying to make is if there's something that you're doing, whether it's in your job, in a sport, in a hobby, that gives you fear that you don't feel you're great at, maybe what you need to do is practice. Maybe you need to find a way to make the perfect practice. Go on a YouTube video. Hell, do it the old school way. You know somebody that's doing it that you think is doing a great job? Say, listen, I don't mean to bother you, but you're really good at this and I would love to get better. Can you give me a few tips? Would you mind? I bet you 99 times out of 100, they'd be happy to help you. A lot of people that have clearly put a lot of time into things, more oftentimes than not, like to share it with other people that are interested. So give it a try. Give it perfect practice. See what happens. Because I can tell you, as somebody who's done that with certain things, it makes it so much more fun. And it's incredibly rewarding when you can help somebody else with it too. Have a good one.